Hi, Embracing Only podcast family. This is Archita. We are introducing impact moments, actionable insights that highlight the best and powerful learning moments and wisdom from our past episodes of incredible guests. In this highlight reel, you'll hear leadership lessons from a combat veteran, taking action to be anti-racist, mastering workplace negotiations, leveraging your uniqueness for success. We'll take a topic and break it down in a short, snappy episode. So click on the link in the show notes to continue listening to these impact moments with our amazing guests.
I think in our initial conversation, we had this conversation around people really intentionally denying others this access to information, okay? And I think there's something to be said for people like you that are willing to share the information. It's not like you're spending money, right? Like you're just sharing information in hopes that people will pick it up and use it to enhance their lives, which is amazing. So in terms of, your company, and why you decided to pivot and try to provide this information, what was your initial motivation to doing so? Like, how did you get here trying to spread the wealth?
So, like the title of my book, Pitch the Bitch, there's this kind of unspoken but very clearly spoken phrase called "Don't pitch the bitch." It's from a movie in 2000 called Boiler Room, where you have a broker training a new broker, and he says, "Don't pitch the bitch. If you get a woman on the phone, just hang up. She'll call you if the stock's up. She'll call you if the stock's down. It's just not worth your time. Just don't talk to them."
Wow.
And this type of messaging has been around since the beginning of time. And that's kind of what the point of the book is. The book talks about it's not your fault that you don't know this information. It's on purpose, and it's been since the beginning of time. And here's all these, pop cultural, historical references of where this messaging is being ingrained into society, where we're, subconsciously always second guessing ourselves, especially as just women in general, about our ability to make sound decisions regarding money. And it's on purpose, right? The reality is that we are really the purchasing power. We are the money power. We do everything associated with money in the household: budgeting, planning, meal planning, buying the groceries, paying for the school activities, making sure the mortgage is paid, all these different types of responsibilities around money, except for investing, except for estate planning, which is strange because we outlive our male counterparts. So, in most relationships, as heterosexual relationships, like, you're going to outlive your husband. Sorry. And you need to know where that money is. And there's a lot of information out there about how women invest differently than men, and we kind of commit to investment strategies. But the reality is that we're being told that we can't do it, and we're accepting that. And it's very blatant on the financial services side of things, as financial professionals being told, don't talk to the woman, don't talk to the Black person, don't talk to the foreigner. And it's being said out loud, like normalized in these financial spaces. And that's why you just haven't had the information, because it's been trained out of us. Now that's changing in the last probably 3 years or so. Because there are more female financial advisors, but for the most part, it's been, since, the last 50, 60 years, been just don't talk to them. They don't have any money, which isn't true. Women have a lot of money, and so do Black people, and so do foreigners.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so crazy to hear that. I mean, I want to say, oh my God, I'm shocked by this. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not.
No one is.
Right? But it's a whole nother reality to have someone who plays in the space be like, oh yeah, it's totally getting said. So you said that there was a shift recently in the last maybe 2 to 3 years. What do you think is driving that shift?
I think it goes back to the access of information. Like, this stuff there's nowhere to hide anymore, right? There's still closed door deals. There's still, stuff being said in the boardroom that you're not privy to. But for the most part, like, people are posting about it. People are sharing experiences online. And I think that just having the access to the information and other people's stories are making people feel not so alone when it comes to, why don't I know this information, or why can't I find this information? Um, and that's changed. COVID had a lot to do with that, because everybody went home and all that information had to be shared with this digital space instead of just being locked up in a corporate atmosphere.
It's so interesting. So let's talk about, my suspicion is most of our audience is falling into the bucket that you just talked about, myself included, I'm ashamed to say. But my husband handles all the investments, right? So I'm just like, here's the money, give me an update with where you put it. But for the most part, in terms of the strategy, I'm not really involved in it. And to be honest, I haven't showed much interest in being involved in it. So when you think about people like me that are capable, that have jobs, we're making decent money, and maybe we're looking to set ourselves free, right? Like, maybe we're exhausted with the corporate life, and we're trying to figure out, okay, how do I set myself free from the rat race?
Yeah.
How would someone get started into the space? And maybe even back up before even how do you get started? What does this look like? Like, what's the benefit of getting engaged and educated in this space? How can this help us as women?
So unfortunately, like, money is everything. I mean, we live in a consumer world, and money gives you power. Money gives you the ability of either just lifestyle freedom, getting out of bad situations, health. Like, there's lots of things that are involved with just having money, whether that's enough or an abundance of it. I think there's kind of a shift in mindset of people living in abundance, but the reality is like, just define what enough is for you. And then once you've reached that enough status, then what is your next level of enough, right? It's not chasing some unrealistic goal. Like, if your goal is, I want to be able to know that my rent is going to be paid every month. I want to know that I'm going to be able to feed my family every month. Like, that could be enough without the stress of, am I stressing to do that? And you can kind of gauge your progress when it comes to your like, you have to start caring about finances this way, and beyond just paying a bill. Because you can get really creative and deeply involved in how your money works, just by kind of being like, accepting that it's scary, but doing it anyways. It's a lot to say, like, just be confident about money, as somebody who, like, deals with money all the time. But making the commitment to work on that mindset and that feeling towards money, and getting past that, is the first step to getting started of creating financial freedom for yourself, is that mindset piece.
You're so spot on. And I'm actually reading a book right now called Mind Your Mindset. And literally the first chapter, I was like, oh my God, I'm in, because it really laid out, like, we tell ourselves stories, right? And when we tell ourselves stories, what happens? Our actions tend to align with whatever crazy story we just told ourselves about whatever thing, right? And you hear, in my field, of course, you guys know I'm in HR, and in my field, all the time I talk to people and I'm like, well, what do you want to do with your life? Like, where do you want to be? What do you want to, what goals are you trying to hit? And they just stare at me. And specifically when it comes to money, when I ask people, well, how much money do you need to make? You would think I asked them to describe the molecular makeup of the sun, right? It's like, and I'm like, it has to be the starting point, okay? Because if you're living a life and you're doing a job and you can't pay your bills and you can't go on vacation and you can't send your kids to the schools you want to, or you can't, like, take a break, you cannot do anything without having the appropriate level a fund.
Right.
And I would go one step further to say, money is just an energy exchange,
Yes.
right? Like sometimes we talk about money like it's this dark, mysterious, root of all evil thing. Like, no. If you think money is the root of all evil, you're actively chasing it away from you.
Yeah.
Right? So I 100% agree with you that there has to be a mindset shift first about money, and that it's not good, it's not bad, it just is what it is.
Yes.
But without it, your life is going to be significantly more difficult. Now, I have a question here. I talk to a lot of women that are first generation whatever. So maybe it's a woman that was an immigrant that decided to come to the United States or UK or wherever for opportunities, and they're just grateful to have a footing, right? Or you have women that grew up in some underrepresented community, and so they may be the first of their family to go to college, or they're the first of their family to make X amount of money. And I've talked to women that are making, I'll be like, well, how much are you making? And it's like $70,000 and I live in LA. I'm sorry, what? Like, dude, you are below the poverty line, okay? Like, you are not living. You are barely making it right now. But because their family net income was like $50,000, they think, oh, $70,000 is a lot of money. I'm comfortable. Mm-hmm. So to the point there where you were talking about how much do I need to live? How do people even start to wrestle with the mindset if they are making exponentially more money today than their family did in the past? And so to them, from their perspective, oh my gosh, I'm making a ton of money. How do you what would you say to people to help them understand that $70,000 is not a lot of money?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack there, mainly because there's a lot of mental work that needs to be done there. But because you do have, you're holding so much weight of like past generation trauma, and then trying to like shake that off and like continue forward. And you're like, this is great because of what they dealt with. But the reality is that you are your own entity. Okay. It is just you and your universe and the people and things that you invite into it. So you have to do the work to shake that off and realize, what are your needs today, and accepting that you need to do the things to put yourself in a better place for yourself without feeling like you're having to carry the burden of everyone else, right? Which is a really hard thing to ask a woman because we have to carry the burden of everything else, right? It's even goes back to, you have, especially in the finance space, this demand to come back into work, right? And men are like, woohoo! But the reality is that women aren't coming back because they can't, for the last almost over 3 years, we've been expected to do both the work and the house care and the child care and the education. And now we're expected to also go back to work again and do it also. So it is a big ask to say, just shake off the burden. But the reality is that you have to like have a coming to Jesus and accept that you are you. This is your body, your universe, your life, and you have to do these things for you. No one else cares about your money except for you. No one. So that's when it comes into, how do I start caring about what is being invested for my family? Because it's yours. That's why. Like, you need to care because it's yours. Do not put that off on somebody else, because that's the same thing that people are doing to you. They're putting other responsibilities on you. And this is the most important thing you can do for yourself, is make sure that you are taken care of at the end of the day.
So spot on. And this is, for the record, ladies, this is not to say don't trust your spouse. Yeah. Trust your spouse, right? Yes, this is not what we're saying. We're not saying safeguard yourself because your spouse is not going to take care of you, but we need to have some responsibility in this area of our lives as well, because to Kelly's point, our life expectancy is longer than our spouses typically.
Yeah.